On Sports Tonight, Cup time at Caulfield.
What a thrill, what a performance, what a ride.
Comeback time at the President's Cup. And is it full time for Mike Tyson?
They hit him, now he's going into the crowd.
Hello, I'm Leanne West and welcome to this late edition of Sports Tonight. All the Saturday night results coming up and a whole lot more.
It's a spring Saturday and that just doesn't mean racing. There's a whole lot of athletes odds on to make an impact.
It's going to be gold and silver to Australia.
It's day 3 of the Paralympics, all the highlights coming up. We've got wickets and wickets of cricket and keeping up the pace, Formula 1, basketball, surfing, soccer, and boxing's not just for the boys. Sports Tonight, plenty of punch.
But first, the Sydney Paralympics, and tonight 4 powerlifters are heading home in disgrace, expelled after positive drug tests. But for Australia's athletes, our most successful day of the Games. 4 gold medals, including our first in the pool.
World and Paralympic record holder Kingsley Bagaran stepped up for Australia in the final of the men's SM12 200 metres individual medley. The 1996 Atlanta gold medalist fell behind before launching an incredible fight back.
What a fantastic breaststroke leg by Kingsley Bagaran.
The 32-year-old carried his momentum into the freestyle leg, scoring an historic victory.
Gold to Australia, Kingsley Bagaran has done it.
Another first in athletics. Shot putter Russell Short stood tall, capturing Australia's opening track and field gold medal with a brilliant throw in the F12 shot put. Short betted his silver at the last Paralympics by throwing a new games record of 15.2 metres. Up in the stands, the local cheer squad dressed for success. On the track, Louise Savage also chasing gold after a convincing semi-finals victory in the T54 800 metres.
Savage wins.
Savage second fastest heading into tomorrow's final. Australian cyclists Sanya Parker and Tanya Modra found speed as well, breaking their second world record in 2 days. They dominated qualifying for the women's tandem individual pursuit.
And once again, the crack on the world record.
Teammates David Murray and Steve Gray nearly slipped out of contention in the men's tandem sprint. Murray's foot fell out of his pedal, but they are still semi-finals bound. Last night, world records weren't the only thing falling at the pool. Reputations also suffered. Australia's multiple Olympic champion Priya Cooper finished out of the medals in the women's SM8 200 metres individual medley final. Cooper was 5th in the event she won at Atlanta 4 years ago. Compatriot Brooke Stockham had a more memorable swim, taking bronze.
But Pastore wins gold in 3 minutes 2.91. Second goes to Pollock, third to Stockham.
Earlier, 19-year-old Aussie Ben Austin claimed our first swimming medal of the Games, grabbing silver in the men's SM8 200 metres individual medley final.
But Hang Jian of China wins the gold medal, and in he goes in 2:38.11, world record. The silver medal goes to Ben Austin of Australia.
The record one of 15 new world marks set on day 1. The women's SM10 200 IM final turned into a race for second after Canadian Jessica Sloan streaked away from the field. Australian Gemma Dashwood led the chasers.
In goes Sloan, new world record 2:33.64, and Gemma Dashwood is going to get the silver for Australia.
To the latest medal tally, and Spain leads the way from Great Britain, China and the USA. Among Australia's 4 gold medalists today, swimmer Siobhan Payton and Stephen Eaton in the discus. Another rip-off for fight fans, a farcical finish to the heavyweight clash between Mike Tyson and Andrew Golota. But this time, Iron Mike's in the clear. Golota walking out in the fight in the 3rd round.
Like a caged animal, Mike Tyson was handed his prey. The former 2-time world champion trying to end it in the 1st round.
Big right hand, and that's it. Oh, the right hand.
Golota down and wondering why he was there. Another round and the Polish fighter appeared to be holding his own, but then the controversy so often associated with Mike Tyson fights. Golota saying he wanted no more, his trainer and the boxing world stunned.
Uh-oh, he's quitting. Golota's going to quit.
Unbelievable.
Oh, come on! He has the weakest mind of any professional athlete I have ever witnessed.
That is outright terrible cowardice
Like Tyson, Gallotta is famous for his low blows. The fans furious they'd been duped yet again. The man himself with little to say.
I'm sorry for all my fans, you know, who count on me, you know. I just did not have my day.
Tyson takes the fight on a technical knockout. The 34-year-old had been threatening this was his last bout, a statement yet to be confirmed. And the cheque for $17 million for him and $8 million for Gallotta, that too is up in the air.
Racing now, and for veteran trainer George Hanlon, better late than never. For decades he's been trying to win a Caulfield Cup, and today, finally, was payday.
When the emotions settle, and I can promise you that will take some time, this will be remembered as one of the great Caulfield Cups. Veteran trainer George Hanlon has been here many times. On 3 occasions, he's had horses beaten by an eyelash in photo finishes. Last night, he described that curse as unreal. But George is not one to look back, instead believing the 4-year-old Diatribe was the horse to make amends. It would have been a hell of a story anyway, but an hour before the race today here at Caulfield, Hanlon fell down a flight of stairs, and as far as his staff was concerned, he'd been taken to hospital.
Well, hopefully he'll bounce back and win the cup. We'll see what happens.
Simply, George wouldn't leave. He agreed to let ambulance staff patch him up, but when Diatribe entered the mounting yards, George wasn't far behind. And when he caught up with race jockey Jim Cassidy, the conversation was about anything but his health.
What do you think? Well, I'll leave it to you.
Racing has a habit of fulfilling fairy tales, and as the field left for the start in the Caulfield Cup, there seemed an air of certainty that this was to be George Hanlon's day.
On a picture-perfect afternoon, racegoers turned out in force. Even a former winner was there to soak up the sun. 1997 champion, Might and Power. Soon enough, it was time for the Cup. 18 of the finest horses from here and abroad ready to battle it out over 2,400 metres.
Racing.
The pace was on early with Camarina leading the way. Heading for home, it was the pre-race favourite Fairway out in front. 3 times before, George Hanlon had finished runner-up. His long wait to win the race that had eluded him was about to end.
Fairway and Hill of Grace at the 250. They're the 2 leaders. Diatribe is coming through on the rails now. 150 to go. Diatribe charges up on the inside, and Fairway coming down the outside now. Carps that way with a rattling run, but Diatribe is clear. Diatribe in front of Pravda. Diatribe! George has won it at last.
Without question, one of racing's great stories had just been written.
I don't rap myself, but that was some ride, mate. Never panic. Yeah. Very proud of myself. Rap for George, mate.
George, the run went to plan?
Yes, it went to plan, but I thought sure he'd run well, because I thought he'd done really well in himself.
Yeah. And what happened to you just before the race, George?
Oh, it's down the steps down there, coming down. I wasn't thinking and slipped over. I got on the back of him and slipped over and fell on my glass.
Diatribe paying $6.80 and $2.30. The Quinella paid $63.30. The Trifecta $567. In the Group 2 Norman Robinson Stakes, a fast-finishing Royale Exit with Peter Mertens on board proved to be a winning combination.
Hit the roof. Royale Exit are coming to the line. Royale Exit went home the best and just won. Royale Exit.
In the Mercedes-Benz Sprint, Camina was a class above the rest of the field.
Camina for Gerald Ryan wins it by 2, easy rocking.
The beaten hire won't run in next week's Cox Plate, but the Caulfield Cup winner Diatribe will. George Hanlon did a mighty job here this afternoon to stand up to all the media commitments after that heavy tumble. He'll sleep tonight safe in the knowledge that he has provided one of the great Caulfield Cups.
At the President's Cup Golf, better fortunes for the international team after that winless opening day. But the Americans are still well ahead.
A new day in the international team was out to burst the high-flying Americans' bubble. Tiger's first shot of the day giving them some reason for hope.
Oh, that is big trouble. Way left of the fairway, left to the cart path.
The morning's format was best ball, and Greg Norman was making all of his count.
Oh, that's a hell of a shot from Norman.
Norman and Price matched against Furyk and Duval. The Americans prepared to dig in for a fight.
Oh, that's one of the shots of the day.
But that was about as good as it got. Norman and Price not losing a hole.
What a difference a day makes, Jack.
A rare speech yesterday from Ernie Els may have been that difference.
When Ernie sat on the bus to us, he gets up with a cold one in his hand and just gives us a nice little Ernie Els speech, you know, and he's too big to argue with.
The Americans' lead was now just 2 points going into the afternoon's foursome, but they saved their best for last.
Unbelievable. What a magnificent shot from Tiger Woods.
The US restoring their 5-point lead with an afternoon birdie blitz.
And look at that for a beauty.
Greg Norman tried every method possible, but it was all in vain.
I felt a lot better this afternoon about my game and about my swing, and all of a sudden we got rolling early, and we kept the big mo on our side.
It will take more miracles like this from Vijay Singh if the internationals are to retain the President's Cup, needing to win 11 of the 17 remaining points on offer.
Didn't play well today. We had a tough start. They played really well the first, 6 holes or so. And that was the match. We didn't get off to a start. And myself and Vij, we haven't made putts, the last 2 days.
Match play, it's important to stay to your game plan, and we weren't going to try to do anything that we thought was going to jeopardize our round and give them holes. We wanted to make them earn holes, and they earned every single one of them because they hit great shots and made a lot of great putts, and through 13 holes we didn't make a bogey. So in alternate shot, that's the game plan. Don't give them any holes, and we didn't.
We probably would have preferred to have lost and had the other 4 teams win, but I thought at one stage there that we were going to win maybe 2, maybe 3 this afternoon, but they just seem to be better at alternate shot than we are. And I mean, we've won 1 point out of 10 matches at alternate shots. So roll on the best ball tomorrow. That's all I can say.
Cricket's bribery scandal has taken another dramatic turn. An Indian newspaper reporting that 4 players have been charged with match fixing. Former captain Mohammad Azharuddin, Ajay Jadeja, Manoj Prabhakar and Ajay Sharma have been named in a police corruption report that doesn't mention former coach Kapil Dev. The report to be tabled in the Indian Parliament next month. You're watching the late edition of Sports Tonight. After the break, an Aussie rally driver crashes out and a rugby league legend gets a sack.
Also coming up, cricket. Glenn McGrath makes the grade while Michael Bevan looks to step up.
For the last 2 or 3 years now, I've been scoring pretty heavy runs, so that's good. And if I can keep doing that, hopefully I'll get another crack at the Test team.
Basketball. Chris Anstey carted off as the season tips off. And later, Ali's little girl is still stinging.
All she needs is one right hand behind the jab. This fight's over. She's got to be...
Welcome back to basketball, and encouraging news for Australian centre Chris Anstey, who feared his season might be over. The Victoria Titans suffered a knee injury in last night's win over Brisbane.
The sight of Chris Anstey on crutches was the last thing in the world Titan fans were hoping to see so early in their campaign. Last night, grave fears were held for Anstey's year when he collapsed to the floor in the opening minutes. But further examination this morning revealed the damage to his right knee was not as serious as first thought.
It feels a million times better than it did yesterday. It was, I guess the reason it was so sore was some nerve damage in there, or some nerve soreness. So yeah, it feels a lot better today.
We're going to get it tested today with an MRI just to be sure, but there's virtually no swelling or anything in the knee, so I'd be very optimistic that it'll settle down and Chris should be back within 3 or 4 weeks or so.
While a 3 to 4 week absence is not the perfect return to the NBL for Anstey, it looked far worse for a moment last night.
Obviously your first thought is it's pretty bad and I could be out for a while, so it wasn't a good thought.
Anstey's teammates, though, were able to get the job done without his services. Tony Ronaldson leading the way for the visitors with 17 points, while Randy Rutherford top scored for the Bullets.
Still on the NBL, and the Melbourne Tigers hosted the Canberra Cannons at their new home court tonight. Andrew Gay's wasting little time warming to his new domain, sending the Tigers ahead by 15 points in the first quarter. Atlanta Olympian Tony Jensen made his much-awaited return to the league with a bang, the Cannons clawing back to within 8 at the main break. In the second half, Gay is still the focus of the Tigers' offence, leaving Mark Bradke open for the jam. Canberra's Troy Pillen headed to the change room early, and Bradke wasn't looking his best on his way to 23 points. As for Gaze, simply unstoppable. The scoreboard, and Melbourne 19-point winners. Gaze with a game-high 25. And in Townsville, the Crocs swamped Cairns by a massive 45 points. Sam McKinnon, fresh from Olympic duties, bagged a triple-double with 35 points, 10 rebounds and 10 assists. And in the National Soccer League tonight, Marconi too good for the Cosmos. Angelo Costanzo with the winner in his 135th game for the club. Cricket, and for the first time in 3 years, Glenn McGrath played for his Sydney grade side Sutherland against Randwick. An intimidating sight for grade players lining up against one of the world's best fast bowlers. McGrath finishing the day with figures of 1 for 22. He'll back up tomorrow for New South Wales against Queensland in the Mercantile Mutual Cup. The Blues, another side who'd like to see more of McGrath. Michael Bevan's no longer the world's top-ranked one-day batsman. He's been tipped out by India's Sourav Ganguly. But Bevan couldn't care less. He'd much rather be making an impact in the baggy green.
When it comes to one-day cricket, Michael Bevan is a superstar. His combination of a level head and flamboyant strokes have dragged Australia out of numerous sticky situations.
It's Michael Bevan's evening at the Sydney Cricket Ground.
But being the master of one-day cricket isn't enough for Bevan. He admits his campaign to force his way back into the Australian 11 means he doesn't fully appreciate his status in the limited overs arena.
I'm too preoccupied, I think, with trying to get back into the test side and trying to improve as a player, I think. So it's not something that I dwell on that much, to tell you the truth.
Bevan has had his chance to cement a berth in the test team, and he's the first to admit he didn't make the most of his opportunity. But he hopes a bag full of runs will give him a shot at redemption.
Obviously, I've been a bit inconsistent in the past, and for the last 2 or 3 years now, I've been scoring pretty heavy runs, so that's good. And if I can keep doing that, hopefully I'll get another crack at the test team.
National skipper Steve Waugh is sympathetic towards Bevan's plight, admitting that he does have reason to feel frustrated. But his advice is for Bevan to put his head down and to keep scoring runs.
He's a very good player and could easily play test match cricket, but it's just hard to get in the side. I think a lot of players have been frustrated over the last couple of years, and he's just got to keep getting runs and hope that his chance will come. But
the disappointing end to the San Remo rally for Australian driver Michael Guest. He's crashed out with a day to go.
Drivers set out with hopes of lighting up the Italian countryside, but this isn't quite what they had in mind. Aussie Michael Guest also forced to retire.
Just locked the wheel, just gone a little bit too wide on it and clipped the side of the stone wall, and we've only just brushed it, but because the angle the wheel that was on, it's busted the bottom mount that holds the wheel in place, and that's the end of our rally, just something as simple as that.
Guest had fun explaining the incident to his team, much preferring his time on the circuit.
It's a tough world in the World Rally Championship, and I think we've learned that today. And even though we haven't finished here, I've still gained a lot of experience, and I'll take that towards Rally Australia.
Peugeot Gilles Panizzi was the master of the testing conditions, taking a 15-second lead over compatriot Francois Delacroix. The Frenchman deflecting cheating allegations levelled by his teammate.
Tell to the direction, and I take my car and I go to Monaco. I stop now, immediately. I stop immediately. In my head, no problem. I sleep well.
The Peugeot team has been dogged by bitter infighting since Delacroix was forced to give way to Panizzi in the Rally of Corsica. But it doesn't seem to be affecting their performance. The race concludes tomorrow.
The Queensland Rugby League has dumped most of its state of origin selectors, including Maroons legend Arthur Beetson. Officials wielding the axe in response to this year's record series loss to New South Wales. Former Maroons 5'8" Alan Smith and chairman of selectors Les Jeeves joining Beetson as the latest casualties.
Decisions have been made, so you've got to go along with them, and you've got to go. I'm not going to go and jump off a bridge, I can assure you. You know, that I'm still proud to be a Queenslander, I'm still proud to be an Australian selector.
Queensland coach Mark Murray was the first to go, replaced last month by Brisbane Broncos mentor Wayne Bennett. Ahead on Sports Tonight, we'll go global. The Aussie tennis players shanghaied in China. Formula One in Malaysia. And back home, no shortcuts at the longboard titles.